Okay, so now that we've created a simple class, and I've talked about the how we're going to put data members and then functions, package them together in the class. We saw that the data is private, so you don't have a way to directly access it, but you can access anything that is public. And really, for just beginning with classes, the data members, or you can call them member variables, should always be private, and the function should always be public. There are times when that can change, but we're not to that point in programming yet. Okay, so just to show you a couple things, here the functions are written right inside the class declaration. Sometimes when this is done, the format, and all I'm doing here is reformatting, might look like this, kind of like on one line, and it just makes the class a little bit easier to really just to read what's going on. So it makes it a little easier. You don't have as much chunks of code, and it just kind of clarifies what's going on a little bit. So you'll see all I'm doing is changing the spacing of things, putting it on the same line. I'm not changing any of the code itself though. These types of functions are referred to as inline functions when they're inside of the class itself. And an inline function differs from a regular function in that when the function call is here in the main program, it doesn't execute a standard function call. A standard function call will take all the information about the main program, push it on the runtime stack, and that means any variables are in main. It'll push on the address where it left off, and then it'll jump out to the function, execute the function, and then pop all the information about main off the runtime stack, and then go back to the main program. What an inline function does is when it sees the function call, it basically replaces it right here with this section of code. So the processing could be a little bit faster, but if you use inline functions, you really want to limit yourself to functions that have one line of code only. Okay? The other thing that you can do when you're working with classes, if you want to, is you can just put the prototype of the function in the class. So here I'm just going to put the prototype for the function. And the function itself is located where we're used to seeing functions, which would be down here after main. The only difference is when you have a function that the prototype is located inside the class, the function name has to begin with circle colon colon. And so it's got to start with the class name. I really wanted to make this an uppercase letter so it stands out as a data type, so I'm just going to make that change real quick. So you put class name, colon, colon, function name. This is called the scope resolution operator, these two colons next to each other. And keep in mind, this is a little bit different than the standard functions that you guys wrote. First of all, it's a member of a class. So that's why when you put the function outside the class, that's what the name is going to look like. So let me just kind of fix these ones up here. Just going to put the prototype alone. And again, how you write them is kind of up to you. Alright, but so you might see them written as inline functions, you might see them written as member functions, and you really have to understand what's happening with both of these syntax. Alright, so let me just put this down here. Since you're going to see it written both ways, you really need to kind of understand this. Okay. Alright, so all we've talked about here are some of the alternative ways to write a class, and next I'll start to talk more about the code itself.